Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Vishnu Paramahamsa Parivajagacharya A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajagacharya Ashtadharashata Shri Srimad Divine Grace Shri the Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.
Sorry, it's a mini.
All right, many garland. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Seventh Canto, The Science of God, Chapter 11, The Perfect Society, 4 Social Classes, Text 25. Strinam cha patidevanam touch chushushanukulata tad bandushu anuvritish cha nityam tadvratadaranam Strinam cha patidevanam Tachchushu Touch maybe it's better Javita Prabhu you chant because I'm a little tired actually.
Prabhu, can you use the mic?
Alright, let's offer obeisance to the deities. Just Good. Strinam cha patidevanam tatchushu shanukulata tadbandhu shunavrittischa nityam tad vratadaranam Strinam cha patidevanam tatchushu shanukulata tadbandhu shunavrittischa Nityam tad vatadharanam.
All right, Strinam of women. Cha also. Patidevanam who have accepted their husbands as worshipable. Tat Shushusha readiness to render service to her husband. Anukuluta being favorably disposed towards her husband. Tat Bandushu under the friends and relatives of the husband. Anuvritti being similarly disposed to treat them well for the satisfaction of the husband. Cha and Nityam regularly. Tat Vrata Dharanam accepting the vows of the husband or acting exactly as the husband acts. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. To render service to the husband, to be always favorably disposed toward the husband, to be equally well disposed toward the husband's relatives and friends, and to follow the vows of the husband. These are the four principles to be followed by women described as chaste. Purport. It is very important for peaceful householder life that a woman follow the vow of her husband. Any disagreement with the husband's vow will disrupt family life. In this regard, Chanaka Pandit gives a very valuable instruction. Dampatyo kalaho nasti tatrashti swayam agataha. When there are no fights between husband and wife, the goddess of fortune automatically comes to the home. Does that mean wealth comes to the home? I guess that's the idea, huh? A woman's education should be conducted along the lines indicated in this verse. The basic principle for a chaste woman is to be always favorably disposed toward her husband. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1, text 40, it is said, Strishu tushtasu varshneya jayate varna sankaraha. All right. If the women are polluted, there will be Varnasankara population. In modern times, the Varnasankara are the hippies, who do not follow any regulative injunctions. Yeah, that's for sure, right? Another explanation is that when the population is Varnasankara, no one can know who is on what platform. The Varnashram system scientifically divides society into 4 Varnas and 4 ashrams. But in Varnasankara society, there are no such distinctions. And no one can know who is who. In such a society, no one can distinguish between a Brahmin, a Kshatriya, a Vaishya, and a Shudra. For peace and happiness in the material world, the Varnashram institution must be introduced. The symptoms of one's activities must be defined, and one must be educated accordingly. Then spiritual advancement will automatically be possible. Can you bring a Bhagavad Gita, please? Om Jnana-timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshulanmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Kam Karidavachalam Bhangam Langai Tegirim Yakripatam Maham Bande Shri Gurun Diditaranam Vanchakapadrubhishta Kipasundabhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, translation. Once again, to render service to the husband. Huh? Oh, yeah. I was just reading. To render service to the husband, to be always favorably disposed toward the husband, to be equally well disposed toward the husband's relatives and friends. That's a tough one, right? And to follow the vows of the husband. These are the 4 principles to be followed by women described as chaste. Srimad Bhagavatam, it goes into all different types of topics concerning human life. And yeah, we should try to understand that there's a science behind everything. And the more we could understand that there is a science behind everything, and the more we could actually understand the science behind everything, the more we will be able to, yes, be, as Srila Prabhupada points out, peaceful and happy, and the more we'll be able to live in accordance with reality. And much of our advancement in Krishna consciousness simply depends on our understanding. Like, for example, if someone doesn't understand they're not the material body, if someone doesn't understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, if someone doesn't understand that, for example, that people are suffering, they need and want of God consciousness, then we would say that's a real lack of understanding, and unfortunate. So, just because one has come to start to practice Krishna consciousness doesn't mean the understanding comes automatically. One has to try to understand and work to understand things. And understanding things is not just an academic endeavor. Understanding things actually comes from purifying our consciousness. As one philosopher said one time, that a book is compared to a mirror, and if a monkey looks into the mirror, you could hardly expect a prophet to be looking out. So, in other words, if someone with material contaminated consciousness, or someone who's not purified their consciousness, if they try to understand things, there's a big chance they won't be able to do that, reading Srila Prabhupada's books or whatever. So it's not that just by joining a particular religion, you automatically understand, but there has to be purification of the heart in order to understand. So there is a science behind how a householder, for example, a man, should act. There's certain rules, there's certain regulations, there's certain qualifications that they should meet. They should be responsible, they should be dutiful, they should be self-controlled, they should be, what else? What other good stuff? Anyone have any ideas out there? What else should, you're a householder, what else should a householder do? Yeah, responsible, dutiful, humble, right? That's important. Tolerant, yeah, that's very important. To be tolerant. And a householder should be willing to engage in yajna, or sacrifice. After all, human life is meant for yajna. As Lord Rishabhadev says in the 5th canto, Nayam Deho Deha Bhajam Niloke, he says that human form of life is not meant to be wasted, I mean animal propensities, but it is meant to not to imitate the hogs and dogs who eat all types of abominable things, but is meant to engage in divine austerities, tapo divyam, by which one could experience brahmasakyam tvanantam, this unending happiness. So whether one is a grihasta, or a brahmachari, or a sannyasi, or whatever, there has to be yajna. There has to be sacrifice. And one should learn how to love yajna. One should learn how to not just like yajna, but love yajna. Just like one time Srila Prabhupada was speaking, or one disciple was speaking with Srila Prabhupada and said, Srila, I really like this preaching. And Prabhupada said, no, not like. This preaching is our life. Which there's a difference. If you say, I really like Krishna consciousness. Or if you say, Krishna consciousness is my life. There's a big difference. So, I was just speaking with one of my godbrothers in Los Angeles. I went to the mantra house to see what was the nature of their talks. I mean, anyway, so there's one devotee gave a talk, and I was just observing what he was saying, and some questions in the audience and everything. But afterwards, I spoke with one godbrother, and he was telling me how busy he was. I was just like shocked. He was saying how practically he's just sleeping a few hours at night, like every night. I mean, sometimes we do that, 1, 2, 3 days, or maybe we have a bad week or something, but he said he's just been doing that like perpetually. And he's married, and he has his wife and his child, and he works at a bank, and he's like managing 9 projects, whatever that means, but he's just really busy, and and he said he's fallen asleep in the meetings all the time with his people. And he's fallen asleep while he's chanting japa, and he's having a hard time. And he was just asking me, well, what should I do? And I was like, well, I don't know. Just logically, I was trying to respond, and I came up with like 5 scenarios, and he just pretty much said how none of those would work. Because he gets home, and then his wife cooks, and then he takes care of the baby, and then he has dinner. Then they put baby to rest, but then the baby's waking up throughout the night, and then he goes to sleep. He goes to sleep really late because he's chanting his rounds. And I asked him based on his schedule. I was like, "When do you chant your rounds?" He's like, "Well, I chant them at night, but it takes me like 3 hours because I'm just falling asleep, and like 4 hours." And so I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Well, I think I'm not sure what to say. I guess you just tolerate this, and then hopefully things work out a little better. Maybe get a different job. I don't know. Move to a farm." But my point in bringing that up is that he's performing yajna. You have like Vaikuntha Prabhu, our friend Vaikuntha, or or Rajendranan Prabhu, they are performing similar yajna. They would work really hard for 6 months selling stuff, to support their family. And then for 6 months they'd be able to, be in Mayapur, or whatever the time frame was, maybe a little less than 6 months, 4 months, whatever. So yeah, there's duties that a man has to perform, and sometimes things are read like this, and it sounds, oh, really, this is really cool, really nice. It says a woman should, for those who are married or want to be married or whatever, they think, oh, this sounds really nice, right? The woman rendered service to the husband, and she just is favorably disposed and equally well disposed toward the husband and relatives, and she follows the vows of the husband. It sounds like a lot of benefit for a man, right? Kind of service or whatever. And it is, but simultaneously the man also has to perform their duties. So in this way, they can both live peacefully and happily. And as Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport, any disagreement with the husband's vows will disrupt family life. In this regard, Chanaka Pandit gives a very valuable instruction. When there are no fights between the husband and wife, the goddess of fortune automatically comes to the home. So when there's no quarrel between the husband and wife, it means it brings auspiciousness, it brings goodness, it brings fortune. Literally, the goddess of fortune means money. We say Lakshmi. So if you want money, then don't fight with your wife. And this could be challenging because we're in the age of Kali. There's a big tendency to fight. We fight amongst friends. There's fighting amongst husband and wife, friends, sons and mothers, and there's a lot of fighting going on, on a small and big level, as we see. So it's something that needs to be controlled, or checked, this propensity to fight. And much of the propensity to fight starts with the tongue. If you don't, a lot of the times, if you just check your tongue, then you could, wars could be checked by someone just not speaking. It's very easy just to actually, just think, if you think about it, you could start a big-scale war just by speaking. And you could prevent a war just by speaking, or not speaking, many times not speaking. So Rupa Goswami says, he says in the beginning of the Nectar of Instruction, Vacho vegam, manaso kroda vegam, jiva vegam, odorapasta vegam, etan vegam, yovishaheta dira, sarvam et apimam prativim shashishyat, right? So it says, one who could control the urges of the mind, anger, speech, tongue, belly, genitals, what else? All the senses, one who can control the senses, they are qualified, they are Goswamis, and they're qualified to make disciples all over the world. In other words, that's a qualification of a guru. They have to be in control of the senses. But in the idea is that it's not just the gurus who have to be in control of the senses. It's also the disciples. They all should be Goswamis. It's not just like, all right, I have a Goswami guru. Okay, done, right? I've reached the perfection of life. I have a Goswami guru. Okay, great. I could be a non-Goswami, and then I'll leave the hard work to my guru. But the idea is that Vaishnavas, Vaishnavi, they should be Goswamis, they should be controllers of the senses. And one of the senses that need to be controlled is the tongue. Specifically, in regards to this, is speech. You have to control the urge to speak. One, prajalpa, or nonsense. And two is, let's say somebody offends us or whatever, we check it. Which is, easier said than done. Very challenging, actually. But the more we could do that, then the more successful our ashram will be. Whatever the ashram, brahmacharya ashram will be very successful, controlling speech. Grihastha ashram, sannyasa ashram, whatever ashram, vanaprastha ashram, it will all be very successful. At least this is one aspect of success, if we learn how to control our speech. And one of the ways in which we do that is just to be able to relish the happiness of Krishna consciousness. Because if we relish in the happiness of Krishna consciousness, we figure, I don't want to waste my time fighting with people. I don't want to waste my time with this type of activity. Better I just tolerate and I read Chaitanya Charitamrita. Or better I tolerate and whatever, just help Sankashan cook some prasadam. You like that, right? I do. You need help? Better instead of fighting for a few hours on Sunday, let me go help Sankashan. Let the managers fight with each other. So if we relish the happiness of Krishna consciousness, then we'll be less likely to get into this type of behavior. That's one of the problems with religion. People join religion, and then they don't follow properly. Srila Prabhupada says that enthusiasm comes from what? Following the rules and regulations. You would think that you think that first you're enthusiastic, and then you follow the rules and regulations. But he doesn't say that. He says you follow the rules and regulations, and then enthusiasm comes. And the nectar of instruction. So sometimes people don't follow properly, and then they're not experiencing that happiness of Krishna consciousness, and then there's a tendency to, all right, I need to feel some emotion as a human. Let's fight. Come on. So if a wife and a husband, Srila Prabhupada's mentioned in the purport, if they don't quarrel, it's very auspicious. And then how do they not quarrel? They have to keep Krishna in the center and learn how to control their senses. And there's a great emphasis on women being chaste in traditional culture. Nowadays, there's no emphasis on that. You could just... No emphasis. Yeah, sorry. Maybe I said evidence, I'm not sure. But there's no emphasis on women being chaste nowadays. It's quite the opposite. They have opposite training. They have opposite inspiration. They have opposite... it doesn't seem to be something that's valued. Like if you look at Hollywood movies. Maybe you shouldn't look at it. If you look at Hollywood movies, within the last 10 years, it's interesting how I haven't done that, but so maybe I shouldn't comment on this. But it's getting. As we know, there's a lot of evidence that things are degrading in terms of morals and ethics and so on. Traditional values. But people who follow religion, people who follow dharma, people who follow their husband, people who follow any type of traditional life principles, religious principles, I mean, these people are considered boring. These people are boring. These people are outdated. These people are just irrelevant. They're not persons who are glorified in modern movies. Other people are glorified. Now, then we may question, well, why is this? Why are people attracted, a lot of people, why are a lot of people attracted to what we would just term as low-class behavior? Why is that? What do you think, Avro? Yeah, because they're in the modes of material nature. Because they're in the lower modes of material nature, rajas and tamas, very dark, twisted, very unfortunate modes to be in, to be conducted by, and therefore they find great pleasure in that. They think, oh wow, this is amazing. I want to be like her. You know, it's a really bad role models. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem that on a large scale human society is going to be turned exactly anytime soon. I mean, of course, anything could happen. But as it's going now, it doesn't really seem like that. I mean, we did Harinam at Venice Beach with all the brahmacharis there, and I mean, it's absolutely, yeah, it's just really, but like what was written on, like they have all these stores where they sell like t-shirts and stuff. And what was written on those t-shirts, I mean, it was just like really sick, actually. Like objectively speaking, just like really sick. And I cannot repeat it. Actually, I wouldn't repeat it to anybody. I mean, I happen to. Now I'm vowing whenever I walk down Venice Beach not to look, at what they're selling on these stores, and they're advertising to thousands and thousands of people, millions of people. Tourists. Everybody comes from around the world. Luckily, we don't really have something like that here, but LA. Yeah, so I won't repeat it, but it was really, it was really bad. But it's interesting. Obviously, they have some market for that. Some people, they think it's amazing. They think it's cool. They think it was sexually explicit, statements on shirts. But yeah, people think, oh, this is amazing. But it's something else. So yeah, as this particular Srila Prabhupada's mentioned in the purport that everyone needs to be educated in a particular way. So the way a woman is educated, the way a man is educated, at least in traditional life, is different from how they're educated now. But one of the main emphasis, one of the main points in how a woman is trained in traditional culture is just how to be chaste. How to be chaste. And without that training of men and women, you just have what we have nowadays, like a lot of problems. So Srila Prabhupada, he stressed varnashram system, or acting according to the principles of the grihastha ashram, of the brahmacharya ashram, and vanaprastha ashram, sannyasa ashram, to know what those are. So those are very, they are mentioned throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam. If we study Srimad Bhagavatam, we'll know what those are. and then we should try to follow. And then, of course, you have the whole Varna, our natural propensities to engage those. People have different propensities. As Kshatriya or Brahman, as Vaishya or Shudra, they have different propensities. So to engage those propensities and follow the principles that are outlined for those different classes, and to follow the principles of different ashrams with Krishna in the center. In this way, there's a possibility of peace and happiness in the world by following these, and and then spiritual advancement will be automatically possible. All right, Hare Krishna. Does anyone have a question or comment?
I've noted in Prabhupada's writings and in the Shastra also that the emphasis is always on the women being chaste. But if you just try to apply that now to the situation in modern society, without the corresponding position of the man being faithful, if the woman is just supposed to tolerate all that, it can become very crazy. Yeah. And I think one of the things that is so difficult to deal with today is the proliferation of media, down to 11-year-old boys and girls, on the phone. They can easily find out where they can find out the pornography on there.
Yeah.
It's impossible. And one of the results of all this is that there is less of a willingness to commit to children, to having children, and that can be critical in society. In the United States today, of course, there's a big immigration crisis, but we're not actually, the people who live here are not having enough children to replace the population, so the population is going to start going down. Some countries it's already critical, like Japan and China. So everything works together. I'm not recommending anything or something, but the sanity, for human life is here in the books and in the society, Krishna consciousness. But to many people, it seems unbelievably restrictive. And
that's true.
But that's that's what we have to try to show, how one can be happy when there are these self-controls of one's own life and the senses and everything. But to not have the knowledge or the process of devotional service today, it's practically suicidal. Hardly anyone could be really happy out there. There's always some threat to your personal life or to your outside life.
Any other? You like to say something? If you want, say something. Hear from. Would you like to say something? Or comment, or question, or reflection.
I kind of thought that's what you were getting at, Hare Krishna.
Well, I was just
no, I mean
hearing from the other side of the population.
Yeah, thank you for the class. Obviously, this is something that my spiritual master speaks on a lot, and it is true what Javida Prabhu mentioned. There's a lot of emphasis on like what the woman should do to be chaste, whereas there's men's duties as well. But I've had it explained as like, like women have a certain kind of power almost, like in their behavior.
Yeah, they just move their eyebrow, right?
Yeah, yeah, like
Prabhupada says that.
their behavior can really affect what it's like in the household. So there's kind of that aspect of it as well, where it's like, yeah, you could say that it's unfair that all the stress is being put on the woman's behavior, but also it's because women have a particular power. I feel like I'm opening a whole thing here that I maybe don't want to get into. I can go till 8:30. And yeah, so there's that. But I mean, it obviously is true. It's like it's on both sides, but it's like someone has to start. So I think that's why more emphasis is placed on the woman's behavior, which is like not fair, but at the same time, if it works. I haven't really had the experience myself because I didn't know anything about this when I was married. Mm-hmm. But anyway, that's all I had. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the wonderful class, Bhakti. So I was listening to a lecture by His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, and the title of his talk was "Transforming Lust into Love." And
yeah, he wrote a whole book on that.
And the host, he was mentioning how when he was growing up, you would hardly see, anything intimate on TV. Not even kissing. Like when they're about to kiss, they would go to the next slide, And then he said, now there's like full-on nudity, So when you mention the degradation of society, you can see that. But my comment is,
yeah, TV back in the day was like my mother. She was talking. There was like 4 channels, and it was. Oh yeah. Oh, a whole board. What would censor? Yeah, probably Christians, right? Yeah, and then she was telling me it was limited. Like apparently they would only have a few in a day, like TV shows or whatever. But anyways, I was thinking that practically back then it was like transcendental. It's like above the modes in comparison to today. Anyways, you keep on going.
And the second part is for those that didn't go to the Brahmachari retreat, maybe you can speak something about that.
What would you like me to speak about?
Maybe some of the key points, or what you and David Vrata Prabhu told the Brahmin, because
Okay. Well, all right. So, yeah, there was a Brahmachari camp hosted by David Vrata Prabhu. He was the main organizer in Suvarna Bindu. So they invited devotees from Boston, from Seattle, from Kansas City. What's that? Kansas City? Yeah. Kansas City, ISV, Seattle, so different places around the United States. So a number of devotees were there, and maybe about 25, 30. Interesting enough is that I don't think that some of the devotees in the community were informed, and then they were just wondering, like, what's going on here? There's a bunch of 25 people come. So yeah, it was broken into different groups. There was 3 years and older, means 3 years in the ashram and older, and then there was 3 years and younger. So there was classes going on simultaneously at different places. So Vijay Prabhu spoke. He gave a talk, The Number One Enemy of Preaching. I was given a talk at that time, so I didn't attend. And then he gave a talk, What Pleases Krishna the Most. We could guess what that talk was about. Huh? Mukunda Charan Prabhu? Yeah. And Dravida Prabhu came and he gave a Srimad Bhagavatam class at Sadhu Sangashtaka. He gave to all the devotees in the temple and the brahmacharis. And then he gave another presentation about Vandanam prayers and chanting different prayers with all the devotees. And Bhajranarayan Swami gave a class about leadership, becoming a leader in ISKCON. And he also gave a class on Trinadapi Sunichena presentation, slideshow presentation. I spoke yesterday mostly, was my classes. I was supposed to give a class today at 10:30 in the morning, but they changed the time, so I ended up giving a class, one at 10, one at 12, and one at 6. So, and I gave a class on the 4th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, that Puranjana story, dealing with the guru and disciple relationship. And then the 5th canto, I did the number 1, Nayam Deha Deha Bhajam Niloke, that verse. And and then I spoke about, pastimes of Srila Prabhupada in the evening. So, it was great. There was a lot of, it seems that the devotees were inspired. And it's always nice to get together and try to strengthen each other. You have anything you want to say about it? That might be true, actually. I remember there was one brahmachari, anyways, remember that? All right, any online? We'll get into that detail.
I have a 5-second comment. I found the most exciting part for me was the Vyasa Puja, the Guru Puja. Kirtan. I don't think you were there for that.
Yeah, I was there.
Oh, you were there?
Yeah.
I didn't see it, I'm sorry. I was jumping up and down, which I don't usually do.
Yeah.
I had no problem with my ankles this morning, but it was worth it.
Okay. Granted Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Hare Krishna.